Hi everyone, I'm Maddie Vizzini and I'm a first year humanities student at MHS and this is my presentation of learning. So my project this year was called Into the Unknown. So basically, as you know, I'm a first year humanities student. And this year I kind of walked into this class blindsided. This was described to me as the opposite of the STEM Academy, so I thought this class was going to be English and history based. But little did I know this would be a self paced class where I would not have a teacher always hovering over my shoulder and telling me what to do. I would be doing it myself. And this honestly did scare me. In our schooling careers, we are really taught to follow strict due dates and get the teacher's approval for every single thing I learn. But for this process, I was really truly learning something about myself and learning the skills I need to be a successful person in the workforce. So basically, when it came to brainstorming a project, I was having a lot of trouble. Really, coming back from school, with COVID and everything, I was just not motivated. I didn't want to do my work. Nothing really sounded interesting to me. And even when we were doing exercises in Mr. Daly's room to help us think of something we're passionate about or something we're motivated about, or what we call in this class motivated beyond the self, I was having a very, very hard time. But um, actually, during Christmas break, I was basically kind of locked in my bedroom because I had COVID. So, since I was in there basically by myself and found myself very, very bored, I came across my old diary, and then that led to me reading my diary entries. And so basically, I looked over all of these, diary entries from, quarantine, and I realized I love to write. This is what I can do in my free time. Words can just spread across the page for me. And I realized this is what I wanted my project to be centered around. So now that I had basically a foundation for my process, or, my center point, it was time to build something around that. So my first idea was maybe writing a novel about my experience during quarantine, but I have never published anything but poems before, and I had little experience as an author and had no idea what I was doing. I was also limited on time. I only had 80 minutes every other day, and I had never been through really a proper publishing process, so I knew this wasn't going to work. So this led to my other idea, creating advice columns for teens. So my diary entries were basically kind of focused on my mental health and how I was feeling, each month during quarantine, and how I struggled and how I was able to overcome challenges. So I thought, I this would take my passion for writing and also my love for I love to create, more comedy writing, and I feel like this would also get the point across that mental health is important, and it is important to express your mental health. But reality came back again, and I realized I could not do this. I had no clue what I was doing, and I realized I have no experience with running a social media platform or making a website, designing a website even, and it would be way too complicated. So this led me to my actual idea, which was my project for this year, and this was writing a book of poems inspired by my diary entries during quarantine. So that was my book of poems called Into the Unknown. And these book of poems were basically inspired by my diary entries I wrote during quarantine and really express my mental health. So they're in numerical order, and they follow the months starting from January 2020 all the way into 2022. And it kind of follows my mental health process. And, I hope it will help inspire, teenagers to do the same. So, jumping into my project. Now that I finally have my project idea, where was I going to go with it? I spent a lot of time stalling. I am not going to lie about that. I had no idea where I wanted to go next. It took multiple Mr. Daly meetings for me to realize I have to go into the planning phase. I have to do something with my project, and I can't just sit here and think it's going to get done for me. I had to take action. So that's exactly what I did. So basically, I went on multiple different websites. I even looked in the school literary magazine Tricorn to look at poetry written by teenagers, and I also researched, mental health centered poems and all that fun stuff. And I also talked to fellow student writers in our humanities class. There's quite a few people in the Humanities Academy working with writing, so they really helped guide me in that process, and I'm extremely grateful. And I also read multiple articles, and Mr. Daly gave me this really great book that helped me decide what poem style I wanted to work with for my book. So, as any author does, or just any person does, you're gonna face some roadblocks. For me, I really faced extreme writer's block. I would face, days, even weeks where I would just not write a single word on a page, and I had no idea where I was gonna go with this. I would have good days where I had some great ideas, and I would have other bad days where I didn't even know if I wanted to do this project anymore. But, it always came to me that this was something I was passionate about and I really wanted to finish it. So I knew I really needed to create a process in which would help me create, time to write and help me come up with ideas. So basically, what helped me keep writing was anytime I thought of something that inspired me for my writing or just an idea, I would jot it quick down in this notebook I had, and then I would be able to go back to it later and kind of, my writing would kind of follow those ideas, and it would really help me, spark, words to put on the page. So that's really how I fix my, writer's block and lack of motivation, because now that I was actually writing, my motivation was, starting to increase. So really what I did this year is I started from scratch and created a list of passions. I finally found my inspiration in the middle of a COVID crisis and turned it into my own process. I took action, I did the research, and started writing my pieces. I used feedback from feedback night and from other fellow students in the class to help shape what I wanted the next steps of my project to look like. And I am currently editing over pieces and continuing to write. So, the habits of mind I learned through this process was my first one was patience. Um, I am not, I used to not be an overly patient person. I would be really quick to jump to things, and I was just, not a patient person at all. But when it came to the writing process, I realized this was definitely something I had to be. All writers need to be patient with their pieces if writing's not coming to them, or just, with time, if people aren't responding, back from getting feedback. And it would frustrate me at first, but along the way, as I learned different strategies and as I learned almost, to be a first time author, I learned, patience is a key characteristic when it comes to writing. So I really know I learned that because, you know, um, usually I get very frustrated when teachers don't respond to my emails fast. And, I get kind of overly upset about it. I kind of worry about it. Like, what if they're not responding for this reason? But I found that after I got farther and farther into this project, when they wouldn't answer at first, I would get less upset and I would be like, that's okay. This is life and it's not going to be perfect because I'm, very much a perfectionist. My next habit of mind was reflectiveness. So, as any writer does, I definitely needed to reflect over my past experiences, especially for my kind of writing. I was basically reflecting over my mental health process during quarantine. So it was basically all reflectiveness on the diary. Entries from the start. I really had to reflect. I had to go deep down. what was I feeling at this exact moment, and how would I make my readers feel the exact same thing, and how would that lead them to really inspire themselves to help them express their mental health needs or strategies. And I know I learned reflectiveness because usually when I get a test back with comments, I really don't like to look at it. I don't know. It gave me anxiety and it used to make me upset because I put so much work into this, and then, I come back with all these comments that just make me feel overwhelmed. But I realized in order to become better in my work and better in this subject, I was going to have to reflect on what I needed to work on to become better at it in the first place. So, as the year went on, I started to notice that I was able to reflect on comments from my teachers and even feedback from fellow humanities students because I'm a very stubborn person, and usually I do not like hearing, comments from others who kind of make me, kind of upset. But I finally stepped up and I was able to take the feedback and not only help me with my project, but in other areas of school. And my last habit of mind was confidence. Um, I definitely struggle with the idea that to put my writing out there. This piece was very personal to me, so I wasn't sure at even sharing it at first. But when I finally came up with the idea that I wanted to self publish at one point, I realized, I'm just going to have to become confident in my writing and just in myself. Confidence is something every writer needs. Like, before you publish, you need to have the confidence to put your work out there. Not everyone's going to love it, some people are going to hate it, but as long as you have confidence in yourself and you love your writing, it doesn't matter. So, um, you know, confidence was definitely something I had to learn. And I really know I learned it because, I was able to present in front of all those people. I was able to let them read my writing, something very personal for me, something that really came from my heart. And that's really how I know I learned it because if I didn't have the confidence, if I didn't gain the confidence, I wouldn't be out here today, not even making this video and sharing it with other fellow students about my journey with mental health. And where this year has led me. So, really, this year has created a learning environment which really helped me focus on really personal and mental growth. I really never got an opportunity like this before to really do a project, centered around me and centered around bettering myself. But I'm really grateful I found this class and that I was able to do that because not only am I doing something great for the community and putting myself out there. I am, just learning and learning something new every day. And when it's time to go out into the world, I feel like I am definitely prepared. And this has given me really independence I have never, had. This is not your average class. And in a way, that was the hardest and easiest thing. It was hard not having a teacher leaning over my shoulder, but it was easy kind of following my own pace and doing my own thing. And it really helped me realize that I am capable of doing things. I'm capable of doing great things. I created something that is not only meaningful, but will hopefully inspire others to express their mental health needs in a time where mental health is an extremely sensitive topic. So many people struggle with it, and so many people struggle with it alone and don't know where to go and don't feel like they have anyone to talk to. But knowing they could go on the internet or read someone's work to kind of help them guide their way through life is just very important. And this year has, really taught me that I want to go forward with this class and I want to go forward with these projects and bettering myself. And so, yeah, that was my project, Into the Unknown. Thank you for watching my POL.